wanted to turn up. There we go. Now it looks a little bit more lively.
Oh, you look good. You look a lot brighter. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready when you are.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, you know what, man? This is just for fun. This is just so that people out there can know that we're still alive, and for those that are interested, for those that are fans of the Pop Culture Field Manual, fans of you, fans of me, just to like say hi and kind of check in, because you and I are both on different tracks, but we are out there. So I figured we just come by and say hi and catch people up, and then not do another episode for another like year and a half or whatever, kind of like
Dude,
seasons of a show.
that's cool. Yeah, a little sneak peek action.
Yeah, yeah. So
Cool,
I
man. I love
I
it. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Cameron, about what you've been up to since basically our last episode. I'm sure the
Sure.
people that follow you, you post a lot on Instagram. So if you haven't followed Cameron on Instagram yet, Cameron C. Fath on Instagram, that's where you post quite regularly with Defense
Sure.
Strategies Group and whatnot. But what have you been up to past
Oh
whatever?
man. Uh, so much. It's I can't complain. It's overwhelming, but like I'm very grateful for it. So since our last episode, pretty much I started instructing full time. So in firearms and tactical move maneuver and small unit tactics, with a company called Defense Strategies Group. It's been an excellent company to work for and and train with, just because I know the common theme from a lot of our episodes, right? Kind of the reason why we had the PCFM podcast was like that camaraderie of being around like-minded individuals. Yeah, and I found that in the flow. That's what I'm very passionate about, which is firearms and tactics. It's no secret if you followed the PCFM podcast, you know me as kind of autism with guns.
Yes. Yes.
So
That's why we love you.
So to be around it almost full time now, and to help people gain confidence in firearms and firearm manipulation, not only is it fulfilling to see like people grow as quote unquote warriors, or at least put them in that direction, or have them gain a little bit of curiosity in this, which I think is like an essential skill as not only a man, but just as a human being in a very dynamic and violent world that we live in.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it also gets to tickle my fancy with that stuff. So I've primarily been instructing with them, but I've also had some opportunities in the production side, like the Netflix gig and the Netflix show, The Toughest Forces on Earth, it's coming in almost. That would be out about a year from now.
Really? It's been out almost a year since that
almost a year,
released?
May.
Wow.
May. It'll be in May. It'll be a year since it came out, and the response from it, the opportunities that come from it, I was just so thankful, and I'm still so thankful for that opportunity. Because if you thought you hear how I talk about DSG, Defense Strategy Group, and getting able to do that now. Take that and like scale it 100 times, getting to do all the military stuff I loved before without any of the red tape of the actual military.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to like clear houses in Mexico with a nose piercing.
Yeah.
That's badass.
With the cartel right outside.
Yeah. So that was just an awesome opportunity, and then it's helped me reach a lot of people. It's provided me opportunities to like walk through doors that I didn't think I'd walk through in the past. So the Netflix thing was amazing, and then also I've had my own media endeavors that I've been pursuing.
Oh, really? Do tell.
Yeah. One of which. So the main one right now is I'm so used to being on screen, in front of the camera, like we with Gameology, with Fire, with the Netflix gig, that I got a lot of insight into kind of like what does it require to create these productions, right? So I found a lot of curiosity in that as far as the logistics thing, because I don't know, if one thing the Ranger Regiment taught me is like you should be, jack of all trades. Like, jack of all trades, master of none.
Cross training.
Better than a master of one. So I'm like, I kind of want to dip my fingers into all of these, because I remember talking with our camera operators, in Shift Fire. Those were excellent crew.
Yeah.
Producers and showrunners and audio people and camera guys on the Netflix, and just kind of tweaking them, like being like, how do you do this? Like, what is required to make this production? So I was approached through a ranger nonprofit called Three Rangers Foundation. Excellent foundation. I'm pretty
Hmm.
sure actually we did a PS5 giveaway and donated the funds to them.
All
I think one
right.
time
Okay.
they're one of the organizations we did the giveaway for.
Nice, man.
Essentially my name was like thrown out there because they wanted to commemorate a very historically relevant piece of Ranger history, the Cabanatuan Raid, which, speaking of pop culture, the
Yeah, The
Great
Great
Raid.
Raid.
It's been,
Yeah. Ghost Soldiers was a novel that was about that.
yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was the
So a
bit
lot of,
that was the Bataan Death March. That was what led
exactly.
into this, and then it resulted in the raid. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, we did Bataan, unfortunately, where, you had to pick the route. But so that was kind of like
Yeah, that was a
scratching
good
the
day.
surface just into that event, and like even though that was such a prominent event within this time period, the events that led on after it were also just like what the hell. So like Baton kind of
Yeah.
kind of like opened up my field of view to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then being a part of this event or whatever we're trying to make, which I'm gonna finally get into telling you guys about because I think we're just
That's a
rambling.
lot of prelude.
Yeah, it opened my eyes. So I was approached by Three Rangers. They're like, Cameron had a Netflix show. He can help you make this into a production because when I got out of the Rangers, they had I believe it was the 75th anniversary of Normandy,
Mm.
climbing Point du Hoc.
Wow.
And there's so many amazing photos that kind of came out of the 75th anniversary of Normandy
Yeah.
and D-Day
Yeah.
essentially. And I was kicking myself in the pants because like that event happened a few months the July after I got out. I got out in October and then in July they did it the next year.
Wow.
So I was like, I just missed that, and that would have been, in my opinion, one of the coolest events to attend. So when I heard that they're putting together something for the 80th anniversary of the Cabanatuan raid, I was like, oh, I'm on it.
Mm.
I'm on it. I'm not missing out because that raid also in the relevance of Ranger history is like right up there. It was the greatest rescue mission ever conducted in military
Oh
history.
yeah.
Between all the branches, this is the greatest mission, and Rangers did it
Yeah.
with the help of the Filipino guerrillas
Yes.
and also with the Alamo Scouts, which, if you've ever heard of them, they have lineage all the way to basically like they are the first. You remember how like in Vietnam special forces were set up?
Yeah.
Well, the army has now officially recognized the Alamo Scouts as like lineage to special forces. So before
Really?
special forces was actually a thing, the Alamo Scouts were like the closest thing
Were they
to it.
Americans or Filipino?
Americans.
American. Wow. I
They
don't
were
think I've ever heard
Americans.
of these guys.
Yeah, look into it, man.
Alamo Scouts.
Amazing
All
organization.
right.
Like actually their lineage looks more to be aligned with like Delta Force. So
Wow.
they were the guys that conducted the reconnaissance the for the mission, and
Ugh.
like the story of them being like 200 meters away from the front gate, dressed as Filipino rice farmers.
Oh my
Like,
god.
it's amazing. It's truly amazing. So I was approached by the Three Rangers. They were like connected me with Mike Burke, who I served with. He was a Ranger First Sergeant, Seco at the time when I showed up to 275. He got out, started a podcast called Legends of the 75th, where he interviews like iconic Rangers. Like
Hmm.
he interviewed McChrystal. He's interviewed some of the biggest people in the Ranger community, and he was tasked with basically turning this into like, or just capturing this event.
Hmm.
And if I knew Mike in Ranger Regiment, I know him now. He was like, we're not doing this small scale. He's like, I want this to be as big as like it deserves to be in the field of Ranger history. So he approached me and he's like, how do I make this a big production? And I'm like, hey buddy, I have no idea, but I have enough exposure to big productions to where I can try to figure it out and help.
Yeah.
Long story
Improvise,
short,
adapt, and overcome. I like that.
yeah. So I'm not gonna pretend to be like, oh yeah, I'm a big shot, man. Like
No.
I'll be like, no, I just worked on this shit, but I've seen how it works and we can figure it out.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I got brought on to produce this production, and now we're looking at a feature documentary about the Cabanatuan raid. So 22 Rangers ended up, including myself, going to the Philippines and
Ah.
visiting all of the relevant sites of the entirety. So we went along the Bataan Death March, the actual route that we went along it. We went to Corregidor Island, which essentially was the last American strong point to where when the Japanese did their assault again, this is where they captured everybody and led into the Bataan. This is
Wow.
also the island that General MacArthur was like, I will return, and got sent on a boat
Wow.
to Australia. Yeah, so like we got to go there, we got to look at all the battle scenes and like the forts and all of the artillery that's still there.
Wow.
And then we retraced the steps of the 6th Ranger Battalion, which was the Ranger, uh, which were the Rangers that essentially conducted the rescue mission. So we walked over 2 days. We walked their infill route, which was around 30 miles. Uh,
Mm.
so 22 Rangers from every battle since Somalia. We had guys who were in Somalia. We had guys that jumped into Panama. We had guys that were in Grenada. We had guys in the global war on terrorism. We had 3 retired regimental command sergeant majors with us. Like every, if Rangers were there, someone was on ground.
Every
in Philippines.
generation from here to here. That's cool, man.
Yep. So then we retraced the steps over 2 days, and then we did a couple ceremonies for our fallen brothers back then during the mission. And yeah, and we made a piece of. We brought out Sean Spencer. He did a Ranger. He did a documentary called Ranger, and he did one that's called Grunt. That's out right now.
Hmm.
And he pretty much filmed it, and I produced and directed it, and then I was producing it. And it was just such a cool opportunity, man. It was like Skeleton Crew. So we're hoping to get this out for the 81st anniversary, which is going to be January next year.
Okay.
But the biggest thing now is just like fundraising for it.
What do you got
So
to do? You already went on the trip. You got to like get editors and like put the finishing touches on it and
yeah,
everything. Or okay.
exactly.
Do you have a
So
Patreon going on
filmed-
right now? Like we can plug that, man. If anybody wants
Yeah,
to be
no,
a part of it.
absolutely. Like shameless plug. Like
Yes.
we're fundraising right now. We have a link active for people if they want to donate. Good thing about the donation is we're running it through a nonprofit. So all contributions are tax deductible.
Nice.
So basically, like, yeah, definitely if you guys are interested in supporting that endeavor and helping Rangers tell Ranger history,
American history.
Hopefully, I'll give Izzy a link to it if you feel
Yeah.
like helping us out and donating.
Put that down there, and then yeah, we'll link it, and then I'm sure it's at your Instagram too. If they follow your Instagram, there's a link there. For
Yeah,
you
I'm going to be
yep.
putting one in by the time of this recording.
Okay, all right. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because we just got it active. We
Okay.
finally got it active. Yeah.
Okay, good. Man, Cameron,
Yeah,
that's
man,
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's been super cool. Really cool experience. Just kind of seeing it on ground. We also had the support of like the Filipino Scout Rangers.
Wow.
So as we were walking, like the Filipino Scout Ranger Regiment was walking with us,
Wow.
and they were providing us like PSD or personal security detail because there was an active communist insurgency, or yeah, like Islamic extremist insurgency happening in the areas we were walking through.
Wow.
So like, dude, we call it. Everybody was joking. We're like, this is a Ranger vacation, man. There's an active insurgency going on. Everybody's got dysentery. Everyone's sick. The weather's crap. We're almost getting run over by trucks every now and then. It was amazing. It was so much fun.
That's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny because that's your second time to the Philippines because you did a Netflix episode there too.
Yeah.
Were you in
Yeah,
the area? Were you kind of anywhere near the Netflix episode, or were you kind of off?
We were in Angeles.
Okay.
We were in Angeles City, which is kind of like, I didn't know anything about it, but it's kind of like the Vegas of Philippines. So
All right.
yeah, it was a little crazy. But I only stayed one night in Manila. But when I was doing the Netflix series, I was in like Cavite City, and then I was in Zambales, which is a little bit north.
Okay.
I mean, Philippines is a big place, and it's so funny just seeing how much influence like the American military has over there. Because there's like a Kentucky, there's like a San Francisco, there's like a Los Angeles in the Philippines.
Oh,
It's very
okay.
funny.
It's interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. Yeah, I get
Super
that.
interesting. Yeah. So that's the documentary, Journey to Cabanatuan. Yeah, fundraising now, and then just filming some stateside stuff with a couple of individuals that were on it. I have to highlight this guy. His name was Paul Connell. He's not a ranger. Not a ranger. He is the son of one of the platoon leaders who was on the actual mission.
Wow.
Somehow, his father passed away. The guy passed away. So actually, nobody is alive that was on the mission.
Wow.
So that's kind of like the sense of urgency now to retell these stories
Telling you,
because
yeah.
like they're
Generally
all dying.
passing
Like,
away, man. Yeah. And once they're
exactly.
gone,
There's only a handful of World War II survivors, like
Yeah.
or veterans left. And like as time goes on, then Korea is gonna be up, and then
Yeah.
Vietnam's gonna be up.
Oh
And
man.
dude, so there's a sense of urgency here, and that's why I'm taking like a personal interest in like doing these things, because once they're gone, like that's the one thing that you want to listen. Like everyone's just like silent professional or quiet professional, quiet professional. But it's not called silent professional. It's like we
Mm.
still want to hear these stories because they inspire future generations.
Yes.
So big importance on telling these stories. But Paul O'Connell, uh, he 2 weeks before somebody found this guy and was just like, we should bring the son of Lieutenant Connell, who is in all the books written about this mission. He's mentioned by name.
Wow.
So he's like a prevalent figure. Like the type of man this guy was like one of his guys lost his rifle and they were assaulting. His mission was to assault the front gate with his element, and he hands one of the Rangers his rifle, pulls out a 45 pistol, and goes, "Let's get him." And so that's just like the type of guy this dude was, right? He's like, for the men, he's like, you guys fight, and I'll support you however I want. So the shocking part was we got him out there. He's an older gentleman now, no military service, but he was like, he's like, I was on the draft for Vietnam, but my name was never called, so I never went to Vietnam. But the crazy part was, and this is kind of like where the pulling the heartstrings comes in, which I think is gonna like make this documentary so good. Personal bias, but he didn't know his father was a Ranger, let alone he didn't know anything about his father.
Wait.
When his father passed, his sister gave him this fruit box, like a box of fruit, cardboard box. And in this fruit box that was just sitting in their childhood home was all his military history. His son had no idea that that his father was a Ranger, let alone a leader on one of the greatest rescue missions ever conducted. So he found all this out after the fact. His father passed, and now here he is in the Philippines, surrounded by 22 Rangers from past and present. One common thing about the group, and like we had some older gentlemen on this trip who, like, for example, one of the chair of Three Rangers Foundation, one of the directors, his name's Mike Hall. He's a retired regimental command sergeant major, and he was the USASOC command sergeant major. So he was Big Daddy he was like the top of all U.S. Special Operations command sergeant major, right?
Yeah.
He must be in his 70s now. The day before the march, he could barely get on the bus. I was like, there's no way this guy's going to make it on this 30-something mile hike.
Oh my gosh.
Didn't say a word. Walked the entire thing. Didn't say a word.
Of course he did.
Complain once.
Wow.
Actually, one of the favorite quotes ever was, I was jokingly, the youngest guy by 20 years on this trip, I was jokingly saying, my feet hurt. And he turns to me when we're like at mile 15, and he looks at me and he goes, oh, your feet hurt? Well, then put your thumbs up your ass and walk on your elbows. We got places to go. And I'm like, yeah! It's like, hell yeah, dude. So basically we have like older generation Rangers. We have mid-generation. We have Rangers that literally, we had one guy, Larry Morris. He was one of the platoon leaders at Black Hawk Down in Somalia. Like he was there during, like he was in where the movie's about. He was there.
Wow.
We had guys that jumped into Panama. We had dudes that were in Grenada. We had dudes in the global war on terrorism. Out of all these different generations of Ranger, no change to the type of people we are. So you could be like, oh, there is no difference in any of these guys. The only difference is like where they grew up. But like, Rangers don't change. So the coolest thing was, by hanging out with 22 Rangers, Paul got to discover who his father actually was.
Oh, that's beautiful, man.
Dude, oh man, it was.
That's beautiful. Oh,
yeah, he gave this speech when before we stepped off, and he's like, "I'm not a public speaker," and then he starts like crying. And
my father never talked about any of this his whole life. I didn't even know he was a Ranger until after I got out of the service. You know, I'm trying to channel my father as I'm marching through these rice fields. You know, trying to think, okay, what was he thinking and what was he doing?
We're here 80 years later, and I'm just trying to think of what it would have been like to be here.
This is actually the place where the last shots were fired in the American defense before they had to surrender to the Japanese.
You know, you guys are warriors. People want to know that. They want to know what you did. You may not want to tell it, but they want to know what happened.
And he's like, it was, wow, it was good. It was
All right,
really
man.
good.
All right.
So
That's good. So people donate. If you want to see this thing come to fruition, you want to hear that beautiful speech, you got to donate to help.
it's great, man.
Help
yeah,
him
so
come.
not only is it like Rangers retracing such an iconic Ranger event, but it's also the story of this common man discovering who his father was. You know, so like it's a little twofer. It's a little twofer documentary.
That's really cool, man. That personal story, man. That's, I mean, just from like a storytelling standpoint, that's amazing. But the fact that it's, I mean, you can't plan this. Like the fact that somebody found him, like, and then he never knew, and that from this trip he became more familiar. It's like he got to know who his father was in a fuller sense.
And like he didn't really mention much. You know, he could have had a terrible relationship with his father in the end.
Yeah.
You know, they could have not seen eye to eye, and he could have had this false like I'm just spitballing here, but like he didn't really talk about like his last days with his father or who he thought he was before then. But this could have completely changed his mind about his father.
Yeah. Recontextualize his whole memories. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, his father's a hero. His father is literally a hero.
Yeah.
You know?
That's
so
wild.
yeah, dude, crazy cool documentary. Very excited to see what it turns out to. Actually, the documentary itself took a 180-degree turn because we had a completely different vision of what we wanted it to be until like we got on the ground. And I think that's one of the coolest thing about like the production side of things. And like I even saw it happen with my Netflix show when we're like, this is what we want to make, and then it completely changed into something else. So like when we got there, we wanted to pretty much do tacos, terrible aid, but we wanted to do my Netflix show, but we wanted to do 3 Rangers, same thing like Top Gear, but just we had a Ted Kennedy who was like joined in the 80s, jumped into Panama, amazing, 26 years, grew up in 275, just a lot of history in this guy. Like he knows everybody, and he retired as a command sergeant major out of Italy. And then you have Mike Burke, which is like 15 years after him, which was like beginning of the global war on terrorism. Who was the owner and host of the 75th, the Legends of the 75th, and then you have me, which is like end of the global war on terrorism. So there's going to be 3 different Rangers, basically old, medium-aged. No offense, Ted.
Super decrepit.
And young. So it's going to be like 3 Rangers going and like discovering Ranger history. But then I was like, screw this. I was like, we are not the story here. The story is this Paul guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's the protagonist here, not us.
Yeah.
So like, let's not make it about us. Let's make it about him and us just going through this kind of like seeing how Rangers are, interviewing all these Rangers, having the audience be like, I feel like every interview that I watch, even though these guys are so different, they're the same thing. And then realizing like, oh my God. You know? So that's where where the glue happened. So
that's good. That's good.
I'm done talking about
that's okay. That's good. No, I just want to compliment you and the team because to recognize that, it's like that documentary Icarus where the guy starts off. It's going to be a documentary about the effects of doping, and then he ends up uncovering this entire Russian conspiracy for doping for decades.
Russian oligarchy of trying to win the Olympics.
Yeah. And so the fact that you guys had the wherewithal, the situational awareness to understand that there's something more important, and it's real too. So I'm excited to see it, man. That's cool.
No, me too. I'm excited to see it all come together. Now it's just like eating an edible and trying to piece it together. Now the challenging things, like we have all this footage. We probably have like 50 hours of footage, and we have to go through it all.
But that's a big challenge in a documentary. It's like, how do you weave together a story from just this real stuff? It's just stuff that real things are happening.
No, it's just the cameras rolling, dudes being dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Oh,
What have you
that's
been
cool.
up to, man? I know you've been
Dude,
on
I
your.
don't know. That's kind of a tough act to follow, man. You're like uncovering
No,
Ranger history and like connecting fathers with their sons.
that's terrible. No, no, no. I mean, it's cool, but you know what else is cool? You living your dreams and seeing things like your goals come to fruition. So I want to hear about like because I watched your video about or your
Vandal
first
Hearts.
like exactly,
Yeah.
and one thing I appreciated about it was how much I observed and I understood how much work went into it.
Mm.
Like Sydney was watching it with me, and she's like, "Is Izzy voicing every single character?" And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, he is in this 45-minute video."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about it. Tell me about like why you chose that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I
What
mean,
went into the creation, like your creatives, your inspirations? Go for it, man.
yeah, I mean, well, I'll give you a little bit of background to that video in particular because, you and I, we ended Pop Culture Field Manual, and by that time we had ended all association with the Gameology and Shiftfire, and so what had started out as this really fun ride in 2020 for me in terms of like discovering content creation and live streaming had kind of had a peak, and then it was kind of like coming down, it was landing, and it was all kind of ending. And so the only thing that I had really had at that time was streaming, which I had been doing since 2020. And then I had this partnership with somebody who had reached out to me who was really ambitious and, really creative. And to his credit, he had a big vision and he did a lot of work on setting it up and kind of laying it out for me in the beginning. Those two things were kind of going. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll kind of, this is what I'm doing right now. But, that creative, it was my fault. Like, I'll give the guy all the credit in the world for laying stuff out, but I saw kind of the future of, yes, excuse me.
Excuse you.
I'll edit that out. Probably not. I saw the future of this project and, my heart just sank. It was I realized that it wasn't anything I wanted to be a part of. It wasn't anything I wanted to do, to give my time to. And he was really passionate about it. But deep inside, I just couldn't do it, And it was kind of the same feeling I got when I decided to stop pursuing acting up in LA. But because like the whole time there was something about it that I just couldn't give my whole self to, and that was just a personal journey. So I apologized to him and just cut ties, So then I only had streaming. Beginning of this year, I was just streaming, and I had to basically make a decision about what I wanted to do with my life, with my career, because everything was just kind of drying up. And streaming, I love streaming, but it wasn't making any money. And I'm married now. You and I, we know about responsibilities and providing. That kind of, I think it's kind of a manly and a husband kind of thing. So it's like I got to make some hard decisions. So I decided to stop streaming, and then I made the decision to jump fully onto just content creation, YouTubing, for now. So what do you do? Like, what do I have? I had to make the decision about what kind of videos I was going to make. And so I had my love of gaming, been a gamer my whole life. I had my life basically. So I had these two things, my life and gaming. And so I was asking myself, what do I do to create out of that? And so I thought, well, I'll tell stories about my life as a gamer, quote unquote. Like, what does that mean? Like, what does gaming mean to us? Like, is it just like kind of an entertaining thing, or is there something about the stories that we encounter at different times in our lives that can have an effect? I mean, you remember when you first encountered, whatever, Call of Duty or some of those seminal games in your life, Halo, those are really important times, and they kind of are like benchmarks they can be in our lives. So,
big time, dude.
Yeah. So the first video, Vandal Hearts, which is out now, that was just a really powerful point in my life. Like, my family life wasn't all that great. My dad had just moved us into, like, he was still married to his wife, but they took a break. So he moved me and my brother across town into a little apartment. And it was just kind of like bleak, like nothing was going on. And so what do you have? You got this video game that you can kind of just ensconce yourself away in your room and just kind of get lost in. But the game Vandal Hearts in particular has these characters in it that they're kind of going through some of the similar things that I was going through. Like they had daddy issues, they had family issues. Like that story is all about family, you know. And so I decided to do that, and then in alignment or in conjunction with that, in parallel, I had to learn actually how to make a video. I had to learn how to use editing software, and then I did this stupid thing where the game itself does not have voice acting, like it's just dialogue. It was kind of
it's just read along.
Yeah, just read along. And so I was like, what if I voiced all of the characters in all of the scenes that I'm using? And that just added like literally months to the production, because I had to learn how to I used 11 Labs, which is like an AI voice software.
Yeah.
And so every voice you hear in that game is me, but I just changed my voice and added it to different characters. And so it was just this monumental endeavor that took months and months, but I am more proud of the couple hundred views that I've gotten from that video than I am of all of the views that I've gotten from Gameology and Shiftfire, because you and I we're effectively hosts, right? We didn't create those things. We just kind of reacted to them. We facilitated. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's fun. I like reaction content. But I learned for the first time what it meant to really create something that was mine and unique to me. Nobody else could tell that story. And man, it felt good. And I'm working on a second one right now. And I got a little horror gaming channel called Dead House Night that I do just kind of for fun because I love performing. And so that's cool. But I know that I'm exactly where I need to be right now because I am so proud of my military experience, man. And that will always be a part of the tapestry of my life. But like it's not where my passion lies, you know. And I have to go and I have to be in this place where I'm by myself and I have to be creative, and I have to learn how to tell stories, and I have to, you know, it's that pushing. It's like the chick breaking out of the egg kind of thing. You know, that struggle makes you grow. You know, you understand that. And so that's exactly where I'm at right now, and I'm exactly where I need to be. And I could not, and I just want to say, like, my wife is amazing. I literally couldn't do this without her because when the decision time came, I sat down and I said, look, you know, I want to do this, but it's going to mean like I'm not creating income, and it's, you know, and there's going to be challenges with that, and I'm going to be sitting here all day, and you just got to trust me that I'm pushing myself and learning and growing. She said, absolutely, you know, like 100%. She's like, I know you have a vision, and I believe in you, and so she's been really amazing. So the women in our lives are awesome, and they give us a lot of strength. So I'm very thankful for her too, you know. So
wives, huh?
Wives,
gotta
man,
love 'em.
gotta love. Oh, it's so great.
Can't live without.
Can't live with that. Yeah, that's right. So it's good, man. I really am. I want to do some good. You know, like with the stuff everything we do, it's not just about making money or I don't know. It's as you get older, you realize, like, what am I doing here on this earth? Am I just gonna like have some fun times and then die? Or I think there's something about like legacy, you know, leaving something for other people or doing something to make the world just a bit better of a place, because you look around, man, and there's all this stuff. You can get lost in all the crap and all the negativity and all the stuff going on in the world that you don't really, in a broad sense, have control over. But you can do some good, like right here, you know, and that idea has become more alive in my mind recently than it has been in the past, because I was just kind of focused on, I want to be a famous actor or whatever, I want to get rich and famous. Now it's like I want to do something good. So I'm right where I need to be, man. It's cool.
Cool, man. You know, one thing, you know, on what you just said about like leaving an impact or, you know, doing things for others, that's one of the qualities, like as I meet more and more like special operations guys, that is one quality that I've seen in the majority, is just like, you can try to be selfish. That's what selection weeds out, like the individuals, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, I've had some really good conversations with a couple of those Rangers on the trip. I'm talking about Rangers that like are the reason the Tan Beret exists. Like, yeah, Hugh Roberts, he was I believe it was the 8th Regimental Command Sergeant Major. We're talking about, he's a brother, right? He's a brother coming up on Ranger Regiment in the 70s.
Wow.
Like, you need to be a hard, pardon my French, you need to be a hard motherfucker, to be in that position. And to start at the bottom and then to literally work your way up to being in charge of the entire 75th Ranger Regiment. You need to be like a cut above, right? I was sitting with him and he was talking to me. It was so weird because it's just me and him, And we're at dinner and he's telling me, he's like, do you know where the tambourine came from? And there's like these things that you do all day or you're surrounded by that you have really no idea. You know a little bit about their history, but you don't know
Right.
what it took in the time to incorporate that.
Yeah.
And he's like, there used to be, he's like, back when we were trying to transition to beret color, they were like, to putting out to all the battalions, what color do you want? Because we don't know. You guys decide. And he's like, we used to be obsessed with this video of this. It was like back in the day when, the internet was coming up. It was like a TV show or something. And it was a chef, and I forgot the name of the chef. And he was like a French guy, but it was like a comedy thing. And he used to wear this tan beret. And everyone was like, I thought it was just a good looking beret. So as a joke, we submitted the tan beret, and lo and behold, boom, it got picked up.
Oh
and
my
that's where
gosh.
the tan beret came from. It came from a video that we saw that we were like, this will be funny. And boom. So he's telling me stories like that of little things that you would never expect. This such an iconic thing. That thing right there that I hold so dearly is a joke. Came to be because of a joke.
That's so Ranger.
Yeah, I know. So, but things like that. But I'm sitting there and having these conversations like that, and one guy's like, selection, you always weed out the guys that are in it for themselves, right? Those dudes never make it. It's once you can if you can pass, the only things that's individual is the physical standards, right? As far as the team mentality, you're gonna get peered if you can't become part of the team, right? And everything past the physical parts, which is always the beginning, right? If you can do your 5 mile, you can pass your PT test, then it becomes about the team, right? So a lot of special operations guys oftentimes become selfless more than selfish, right? So in order to feel that fulfillment, you need to be doing something for the good of others, not for the good of your own self. You can try, I think, just as you said, and you're it always comes back to trying to help other people. So I think that's, it's just part ingrained inside you, as a former special forces guy. You're never going to be able to get away from that.
Yeah.
But I think that quality is what makes is that also what makes you great.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
it's
selflessness.
Like we said in the past episodes, it was just there's other ways to serve. We always get questions. You're like, what are I can't join the military, but you can serve in other capacities, and it's just starting with being selfless. It's gonna sound cliche, but helping that granny across the street, right?
I'm telling you,
that's serving communities, not necessarily just serving your nation, but there's you can scale service.
Yeah, I think I think I'll say this for right now, for the people that are in our community that have watched our videos, especially the younger generation. There's this lie that I think we believe, that if you pursue things for yourself, that there is fulfillment that comes from that. It's not true. It's when you give to others. It's when you serve other people without thought of getting rewarded. When you don't get a reward, that's actually where you get the most fulfillment. I would say from a Christian perspective, it's a very Christ-like thing, which I think is partly why it's so powerful in our psychology. But in the broad spectrum, just on a human level, you can see in all societies, the highest virtue that these great societies have always put forward is selflessness. It's always self-sacrifice, right? Greater love hath no man that he sacrificed himself for his friends. We see it in war movies. We see it. It's always this thing. It keeps coming up again and again. And so I think you're absolutely right. The selfless service or serving others, we don't understand it because our greatest drive as human beings, or our deepest instinct, is self-preservation. And so the highest virtue, it's a weird kind of reversal thing. It becomes self-sacrifice. It's almost like you rise above your animal instincts or your selfish nature, your self-preservation, in order to save somebody else or to help somebody else. And there's satisfaction in it, like you say, on every level, from the granny all the way up till jumping on a grenade in the battlefield. And every level in between, you don't realize it until you start living it out, that's actually where true fulfillment comes from, you know. I truly believe that.
Yeah, it's all about the team, man. We say this quote all the time in my classes when we do these development clinics for this company that we contract for. Where we'll have like individuals come out and we'll like do hard things with them, right? And one thing I always say, and one thing all the cadre say, because we're all firm believers in it, is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Amen. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron, what's next for you, man? We can wrap this up. What do you, if you want to tell anybody anything about like where to follow you or what they might expect from you in the future, and then I'll do the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what's next for me? In my personal life, not professional, Sydney and I are making the move up to Sacramento. So we're going to be moving there for about a year. So we're going to have a nice little change of scenery. Still going to be up in California, but just going to do a little change of scenery and see where life takes us up there and see what needs to get blasted up there. We'll see. So that's personal. Professional, really going to focus on this documentary, right? Because I think it's powerful. I think it tells a great message, and I'll plug it again.
Absolutely.
If you guys feel like contributing to this, because we're trying to make it happen, and unfortunately, amazing things cost money. So I'll send Izzy a link, or you can find it on my socials. So like if you guys go on Instagram, that's where I'm primarily at. Cameron C. Fath on Instagram.
Yeah.
There should be a link in my bio to where you can donate, and all contributions are tax-free. So if you need a little bit of a write-off.
Yeah.
Or if you work for a company that's looking for write-offs, that's a one way right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna continue to train. I'm gonna continue to try to help others. I don't want to say touch others. That sounds weird.
It's
but
metaphorical, you know.
Continue to help others, try to be the best version of myself, continue to train, continue to be in shape, continue to be a provider, continue to sharpen my skills, and just continue to live life the best I can. That's
Sounds
it,
like
man.
a good plan, man. Sounds like a good plan. For me, man, personally, there might be a move in our future. The wife's job has to do with if we want to get out of California, actually, for a lot of reasons. But it depends on her job. She has to be able to get a transfer. And so that might happen in the middle of this year. But just with things how they are in the country generally, that may not happen. And so either way, we're gonna try to move to a better situation. But you know, everything in my life is very stable, and she's a big part of that. So I'm thankful.
Good, man.
Yeah, professionally, just continuing to make content, man. If you guys want to follow me, I'm for those that don't know, I'm pushing more into the video game culture side, I guess you could say. Storytelling, gaming's effect on our lives, the gaming community. I want to be a part of the conversation in that realm. So Israel Wright here on YouTube, just my name. That's where the main content will be. And then if you just want to have fun and watch me get scared with scary games, that's Dead House Night, also on YouTube. But I'm pushing more into the content creation side. You might see me posting some exercise videos right here on PCFM YouTube or on my Instagram. But I'm really, if you want to be a part of what I'm doing, that's Israel Rider Dead House Night. And so, and then I still got my Discord, man. I still game every once in a while, which is always fun. I think I always will be. But yeah, that's what's going on with me, man. And I'm glad that you could make some time, Cameron. It's really good to catch up with you. And and I wish you nothing but the best. You're a good friend, and I hope we can stay friends. And maybe who knows what can happen in the future. At least keep in touch. Maybe who knows what we can make together in the future. Yeah, man.
Of course, brother. You know, this relationship we forged through content is greater than just on-screen presence.
That's right.
We'll be friends for a very long time, and I appreciate your friendship. So
right on, man. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us. And I mean, we'll see you on the next one. Who knows when that'll be? But you know what? Until then, yeah.
Cue music.
Yes, I knew you'd get it.